We're standing in front of the official plaque that now has honored or is honoring the legacy of Rosa Louise McCauley Parks. Stay tuned, the excitement will continue.
What's happening in entertainment? From Tinseltown to the Big Apple, this is your weekly entertainment magazine with Greg Dunmore of PulseBeat.tv.
Pulse of a new generation, PulseBeat.tv.
We're standing in front of the Grand River Post Office station in Detroit, Michigan, which has now been honored by the name Rosa Louise McCauley Parks. So this is now the new Rosa Louise McCauley Parks Post Office station.
Thank you, Representative Rashida Tlaib, for choosing one of our 27 postal facilities serving more than 600,000 people in Detroit for the honor of being renamed as the Rosa Louise McCauley Parks Post Office.
Rosa Parks' story is synonymous with the shared struggle and the fight for racial equity in America. And this post office will now bear her name, will not only continue serving the community that she called home, but it will also carry on her legacy for generations to come. Rosa Parks showed the world that not only that fundamental change is actually possible, but it could be brought about by any one of us. And her courage on that Montgomery bus inspired a generation of change makers, of political activists, of public servants and citizens. But change came at a price. After becoming the face of the Montgomery bus boycott, Rosa Parks struggled to find steady work in Alabama. And thankfully, she found a new home right here in Detroit. After sacrificing her livelihood for the civil rights movement, she recommitted herself to service. This time in the daily and somewhat unglamorous rhythm of a congressional office. And the next step in her career with Congressman John Conyers, serving the people of Michigan for over 20 years. But the Postal Service is absolutely essential to democracy, providing access to the ballot box for millions of Americans who vote by mail. And that is what makes this such a suitable tribute to Rosa Parks, someone who built her entire life around activism, civil rights, and democratic engagement. That fight for our democracy is more important than ever. These days, some choose to question the integrity of our elections, to pass laws that undermine our sacred rights to vote, and to fan the flames of racial bias. And in this moment, it is essential to remember the lessons of those who came before us, to remind ourselves of what it takes to stand for equity and for justice. We have to draw on the memory of heroes like Rosa Parks, whose story will forever symbolize this city and this country's strength and resilience. We are truly all standing on her shoulders.
I want children to be able to pass by and see the name and say, who was that? That is the importance of again, making sure we display not only her name, but making sure that her stories lived on over and over again. I just want you all to know, one of the things that ignited this is the idea around people wanting to erase her from history books. We're gonna make sure that doesn't happen. We're gonna make sure that staying strong and making sure that we uplift her and all those that, again, bent the arc of moral universe toward justice. But especially thank you to the McCauley and Parks family, because as my chief and my teams know, I did not want to move forward without your agreement, with your blessing. And so thank you so much for letting us be here to honor this incredible, incredible leader in our country and our history.
Absolutely fantastic, and I love the fact that it is Rosa Louise McCauley Parks.
That's right.
And I think this might be history making, because is this the first acknowledgement of the McCauley connection to Rosa?
I'm not sure, but it was really important to me. You know, I'm the eldest of 14. I was just telling Rhea I'm one of 14, but you know, the extended family and everything, it was so important because I know how it feels to kind of be the sense of like, this is somebody that was a loved one, your relative, and so many people talk about her, acknowledge her and everything, but without sharing the space with the family. And the family it was important for me to get their blessing before we could proceed.
This is so fantastic. It's been a work in progress. Congresswoman Tlaib, you found us.
Okay, so it's 13 siblings of Sylvester and Daisy. And Sylvester, our father, was Rosa Parks' brother. Sylvester and Daisy, they moved from Montgomery up to Detroit to find a better life. And then once the bus boycott took place, my aunt and uncle and grandmother, they could no longer stay in Montgomery. They didn't have jobs, and I can imagine they were probably terrorized. And so they came up to Detroit and joined our family. That was the beginning of her life. So she spent the majority of her life in Detroit, and that became her home. So that's what makes it so special.
Now people will know not only Rosa Parks for this, but for the things that she has done forever and forever. Her name will be engraved certainly in this building, but as a person who's a founder, as a leader, and a truly great American person.
This is such a historic acknowledgement of Rosa Louise McCauley Parks.
Yes.
Would you say something that the world really needs to know, especially concerning scholarship and Rosa Louise McCauley Parks?
Well, let me just say we're very proud, and she was very proud to set up this foundation. And when she was alive, she was at a number of the lunches and handing out the certificates actually to the kids, the students at the time. So her legacy's been living on, and each individual, we've been giving approximately 40 scholarships a year in her name. And these individuals are going on to doing great things, working in D.C., working throughout the country, working in Detroit to help the community in her name. They're very proud of the fact that they are Rosa Parks scholars.
We honor Mrs. Parks by dedicating this building to her legacy, which will live forever. Gives me the chills just saying that. Sorry. Me too. You know, this building is a symbol of the years of service and dedication our employees give the people in this community. The plaque will also be a symbol of the quiet determination Miss Parks as she dedicated her life to the civil rights movement. When our customers walk through the doors of this building and they see Rosa Parks' dedication plaque, perhaps they will have their own significant memory of either Miss Parks or the civil rights movement. They'll be reminded of the courage it takes to be a leader, to make one gesture that can significantly change the course of history. And perhaps it'll motivate even just one person to take a step forward and become a leader.
Pulse of a new generation. PulseBeat.tv.